My God, man. Do you know what this means? This ghetto's gonna be turned upside down, I tell you, upside down. If you get on his bad side, brother, you're done for. Now, it's only a matter of time before he finds out, and when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming.
You think you're the best? I hope you are. A Gundam mobile suit is a fully articulated, fully equipped machine, armed with the most sophisticated weaponry known to man. To be a complete Gundam pilot, you must train on both Gundam systems. Believe me, gentlemen, to beat the best, you have to be the best.
In a world where podcasting is king, you are listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
End of discussion! Debate is over. You will write a formal apology. I will what? A formal apology. You will kowtow. You will step and fetch. Frank, if you think you can get me used to it, it's the way of the world. If you're so hot on discipline, then damn it, start by accepting mine. Because contrary to popular opinion, I'm the head in charge. Come on, let's get something to eat.
You really think you bad, don't you?
All right, everybody, welcome back to Gundam and MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is the Soul Bro and the Chris. Guys, say hello.
Welcome, everybody.
And you're listening to episode 276 of Gundam and MAHQ, and the Big Four. When I hear the Big Four, I think of so many things. I think of like the Big Four accounting firms. I think of
basketball,
thrash metal firms. I think of like the
Beatles.
There's so many Big Fours out there. There's so many Big Fours.
Mm-hmm.
So.
4 Emperors of One Piece.
There you go.
4 Emperors of One Piece. Didn't one of those Pirates of the Caribbean had that too? They had that kind of rip off too. The 4 Pirate Kings or something.
They had kings and shit. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
No, that was the one with like Keith Richards, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He was
I know we try to forget those.
We try.
But,
I try to wash those out of my fucking brain.
it's really just Curse of the Black Pearl, right? That's the only one they ever made.
Yeah, that's the one movie they've ever made.
That's it. That's all.
Nothing ever happened after that.
Forget about the new one they're making.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're going to be doing the Big Four, and our Big Four is going to be Star Wars, MCU, Gundam, and Star Trek. All those franchises.
Oh yeah.
And this is based off an episode that we kind of did many years ago, right?
Yes.
Didn't
it
we
is.
kind of talk about like how we felt like the current crop is going, what we were kind of prognosticating, what
talk about the pros and the cons. The only one
pros and the cons.
The only one we didn't talk about was the MCU because it hadn't really gotten off the ground yet. We just had like a handful of movies and that's it.
Yeah, there may be a lot of like ski-ups in this one where it's like, it's gotta be ski-up.
Ski-up!
Shout out to Shannon Sharp.
End of an era.
You're gonna do well.
This podcast is the best, by the way. I love Shannon's podcast. It's so good. Club Shay Shay, boy. I watch that every week.
There you go. But guys, anything as I saunter over to the Larry King Memorial News Studio for some Neo's listener submitted news. Chris, any updates on the MHQ angle?
Quite a lot, actually. I've been very busy and have upgraded almost all of the line art for Macross across all the series. Some, side stories and stuff still left to be done, but for the most part, everything that you would want to see is now nicely upgraded with lots of pictures to look at. And if you like looking at robot butts, then you can finally do that on MAHQ. We have lots of robot butts galore. Robots, yes.
Robots.
We got all the robots. So I finished Macross, and I also had just upgraded Lasner and Mospeada.
Right,
man,
awesome. Yeah, I saw that on the old Bird app and
same here,
stuff like that. Yeah, good stuff.
The Bird app, which sadly we no longer have displaying on MAHQ because some
it's slowly dying. Yeah,
billionaire asshole decided let's charge $1 bajillion a month for API access because that surely won't harm the app ecosystem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, fuck that guy. So. Oh man.
Thanks for nothing, shithead.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to say something. If that's all right.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
it's a bit of a downer. So I will warn you guys in advance. Last weekend, my father-in-law fell ill. He had a stroke and was admitted to the hospital. The complications took place, and sadly, he passed away on Tuesday. His name was Randy Barkholtz. He was 71 years old. He just turned 71. I went through something similar with my dad, but he pulled through, and that was last year. And I always thought that I'd be the first one because I'm older than my wife, so I thought I'd be the first one to experience the loss of a parent. Well, this came out of nowhere, man. And it rocked us pretty hard this week. My wife flew out on Monday. She actually came back today. So I was actually before we had decided upon that. One of the reasons why it took me so long to get back to you guys on if I was going to be able to record this week or not was because I was trying to find out when her flight was coming back on Thursday. And luckily enough, it was this afternoon. So I was able to pick her up and get her back home. But yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Much love to my father-in-law. Randy was a hell of a man. He worked for NASA. He was a engineer for NASA for many years. The way I got to know him is that he worked out of Houston, but he retired and then went on contract work with NASA shortly afterwards, and they would constantly have him fly out to Cape Canaveral to work there. And from 2008 to about 2011, he'd seasonally come back here, do work, and stay at a place where they had they set up for him, and almost like at least one weekend a month we'd go see movies together and go out to dinner and have a good time. And I got to know him through that, and he's a fantastic guy. He was at my wedding. Much love to his family, especially his daughter Lindsay, which is my wife's half sister. Much love to them and for what they're going through. What's really sad is next week we were all set to go to Houston for Lindsay's wedding. So we were going to see Randy for the first time in 11 years, and this shit happens. So yeah, it's a little rough right now. Yeah, no. I think it's actually going to still happen because they've already reserved a bunch of stuff and all that stuff. But they're going to have a memorial for Randy as well, sometime in the near future, and go with that. So again, rest in peace to my father-in-law, and yeah, man, he was a great guy. I'm sorry, he will be missed. So that's
sorry to hear that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So
yeah, I mean that kind of goes into, as we go into the news here. And I mean, I don't think I saw it on the news, but it was the news that kind of shook me yesterday when I saw it was the passing of the Iron Sheik, man. Probably one of the best wrestling heels ever. Yeah, and I mean, just
if it wasn't for Randy,
I was even still just staying on the Bird app was just his following him and his just things that he would say for just his slice of life things of every so often it would be life is good, but fuck the Hulk Hogan. you know.
You know
or,
what's awesome is that if you watch Young Rock, there's an actor that plays him on that show in the flashbacks to the 80s, and he does a wonderful damn job, man. And it just reminded me of how fantastic that guy was. And yeah, that was a shock. That happened on Wednesday. And yeah, man, it's
yesterday. It happened yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday, Wednesday. So, but yeah, it was.
I mean, just
1-2 punch for me, man. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, you just look at it, and you know, as a kid and little kid watching that stuff, and of course, you know, he was the mortal enemy for the years there of Sergeant Slaughter, and you know all that you know, Cold War indoctrination that we had back then with GI Joe, and you know he was you know praise the Iran, you know. I was just watching some of his promos, and I mean, it was just like
Yes, I would do that too.
it was just Gene Mean, you know, all the good people. I mean, the dude was he just had it. He had it, and he you know, what is it? They talk about the heat, where you know, you're the villain. He just exemplified that, and I guess he was just. I think he was always on point. He never broke character. Like I think it's that you know, he just believed. In the end, he was just believed. But yeah, it was. I mean, and you know, you start seeing some of that stuff, and the fact of like, you know, how they've, you know, just, you know, influenced sports entertainment. So yeah, that's sad for your father-in-law, and you know, it's always tough when it's quick like that and it's unexpected. But then I think in some ways it's you know, it doesn't sound good because you never want to lose people, but you also don't want to see folks suffer. So
yeah, they say that once you turn 50, you better anticipate it. From that point on, I'm not even 50 yet. I'm close to it. I'm 46, but once you turn 50, man, it's something you need to really brace yourself for. But my wife is not even that old, so yeah, man, it's wild. But onward and upward, man. Onward and upward.
All right. So first article here comes from Yazi88, and he's got a link here. Looks like there's the Macross Shooting Insight adds a PS5 version. And there's a story detail on it. Yeah, the shoot 'em up game Macross Shooting Insight will be available on the PS5 along with previously announced PS4, Switch, and PC versions in 2020 in Japan. I guess they announced it on the Twitter account. It looks like, let's see, looks like there's gonna be a lot of different songs in it, of course, because it wouldn't be Macross. Here's the story. Basically, it looks, after coming to Maximilian Genius, captain of the Macross 7 fleet, tries to wrap his head around what happened. Something massive struck the ship, the Battle 7. Upon regaining consciousness, he discovers the rest of the flagship's fleet has vanished. Adrift nearby instead is an older class vessel with weaponry of decades past, seemingly belonging to the new UN military era, and also spotted her vessels outfitted with state-of-the-art technology that is never seen before. So yeah, it's just basically a good old shoot 'em up. So Yazi's article here looks like it has a quick video and stuff in it. So exciting stuff. No word on if it's coming to the States or not. So
you don't have to, because you know the consoles are all
oh, that's right. Yeah, they're all region free
so
now. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. But you may want it if you can't understand Japanese or read it. So that might be.
I mean, it's a shoot 'em up. Like what you don't.
Yeah, really.
That's true.
You
don't need to understand anything except, you know.
Press fire.
Don't forget that X and O are backwards. That's it. That's all you need to know.
You got to know about that mix up.
So it's basically just press fire, don't get hit. It's kind of like NASCAR.
If you play
go fast, you turn left.
If you play on the Nintendo platform, you're already groomed for that shit. So
that's true. That is true.
It's so wild. I switched from playing Zelda to Street Fighter 6, and it's like, God damn, this fucking Nintendo mix up. Oh man, good stuff.
Next one here comes from MCT Dread, and this is from the Anime News Network. Oh my gosh. Looks like there is going to be Godzilla, Evangelion, Ultraman, Kamen Rider crossover combined in the Shin Universe Robo CG Tokusatsu short. So yeah, it looks like there's going to be the Bandai YouTube channel unveiled the 3D CG Tokusatsu short for Shin Japanese Heroes Universe collaboration between Shin Godzilla, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time, Shin Ultraman, and Shin Kamen Rider. So yeah, there's definitely a little trailer here. Short promotes the new Shin Universe Robo toy, which physically combines with iconic machines and creatures from all 4 franchises, and it features the song Tsumi to Batsu Irotso Monyu, which means crime and punishment, you non-worshippers. Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
That sounds a little extreme. Which debuted as the theme song for the project of Evangelion Eternally maxi single on May 10th. So, yeah, that's some cool stuff there.
This looks insane. They form a Voltron of sorts.
Yeah, it's like
crazy.
it's like this cross franchise thing of just everything.
Oh my god! So. Godzilla's head is on the chest.
As it was meant to be. So.
Oh no! Wow, amazing.
Man. So MC Drake comes back with another article here from one of Chris's favorite Mecha reporters. Just talking about how you can watch Detonator Orgas now on Crunchyroll. So I don't have. Chris, you weren't around when we did Orgas, were you?
I mean, Organ.
Was that when you were on?
I mean, Organ.
Organ, but
not Orgus.
Orgus, yeah, Orgus is different. But no, Chris was on his wedding honeymoon when we did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when we did Detonator Organ, but Orgus we never covered in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, that's right. We never did Orgus.
Nah, I'd love to, but we've never done that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's all right. But yeah,
it's all becoming a blur, man. It's all becoming a blur.
It's been decades at this point.
You can read the Orgus reviews that I did on MAHQ, and
yeah, you do have Orgus reviews, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to follow the link that MCT Dread posted. Just
Yeah, don't go that way.
Don't go that way. Just go to Crunchyroll or MAHQ. Don't go to that other place.
Yeah, you go.
That hurts, Chris.
Let me take that off the screen.
Yeah, it hurts, Chris. Yeah. So,
look, it does sound that it hurts me. It's just it's about decency. Or the lack thereof.
Oh shit!
That is true.
I said what I said.
He said
what
you said.
That's all he said. Next one here comes from MCT Dread Anime News Network. It looks like Gundam Battle Operation 2 game launches on Steam on May 31st. So, like last week or so, like a week and a half ago. So, if you guys are into that, definitely check it out.
Yeah, man.
I heard it was a bumpy launch, so maybe wait for some patches.
No good.
Oh, in what way? Like just like
not optimized for PC.
Oh,
just another in a line of not good console ports to PC.
Yeah, just a long line of them. Man,
you think they can figure that out, but hey. Next one here comes from MCG Dread again. Looks like Gundam gets the Battle Tales of Finnegan Boone UC spin-off manga. So yeah, the Mobile Suit Gundam, the Tales of Finnegan Boone, is going to be on the Heroes Incorporated Comicplex website last Friday, and this was like the end of May, so a couple weeks ago. Manga centers around the titular character Finnegan Boone. A character who appears in the 28th episode of the original Mobile Suit Gundam anime. The story is set when Boone is under the command of Garmazabi and vows to defeat the White Devil, the Gundam itself, and learns of his commanding officer's death. Who is this guy, Finnegan Boone?
Flanagan? Flanagan?
He's the guy who piloted the Grublow.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And
there you
got
go.
destroyed underwater by Amuro.
Yeah, there you go.
believe that's also the episode where Miharu dies.
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
That was a tough one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot he had a name. Jesus. Yeah. Okay. I can now picture the guy in my face. Okay.
Yeah,
Flanagan Boone, not to be confused with Dr. Flanagan, no relation.
No Dr. Flanagan, but Flanagan Boone. Yeah,
except that Tomino like that name.
Apparently.
I say I'm going to use Flanagan in this bitch multiple times.
Exactly.
Who wants to bet against me?
Next here comes from MCT Dread, and it looks like the Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash manga ends its first part. Yep. Of Katakawa's Gundam Ace revealed that the first part of Hathaway's Flash manga had ended, and it will end in the magazine's August issue on June 26th, so in a couple weeks from now. So it was launched in March of 2020, and so that's the first part there. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, man, they're slowly getting me to like Hathaway. I don't understand it.
Oh man,
I don't understand it.
Are you a flip-flopper?
I might be flopping, man. I was once flipping, and now I'm flopping, bro. I don't know what to say, man. I enjoyed the movie.
He used to say some dumbass things about Hathaway. Didn't you used to call him like dumbass Hathaway?
Yeah, he was, especially in Zeta. Oh, sorry, not Zeta, but in Short's Counterattack specifically. Zeta, I didn't really have much of an opinion of him.
You gotta remember, in the original novels, he was not a punk because in the Shar's Counterattack and Belter Chica's Children, he didn't kill Chan because she didn't exist. So,
True.
You know,
Yeah.
There's still that discontinuity between these two versions of him.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true, and I have to take account of the version that's in the book versus the one that's in the anime. So yeah, it's man, it's tough though.
Yeah, because you were a big fan of Chan. I think that's why.
I like Chan, and I love Bright, and I hate people besmirching the Noah name, man. But he didn't, because he took another name anyway, so it don't matter.
Yeah.
Mafty, son. Mafty.
Exactly. Next one here comes from MCT Dread, and it's Gundam 00's Revealed Chronicle CG Anime Streams Episode Asturia 2. Looks like the official YouTube channel of Gundam.info began streaming the episode Asturia 2 for Revealed Chronicle, the new CG anime project for Mobile Suit Gundam 00. The channel streamed a 6.5-minute episode with English subtitles. If you go to Mr. MCT Dread's link here, you'll be able to see it on the article. And features previously revealed chronicle, features previously unrevealed anecdotes about how the design data for the project development phase was used in the animated series. So kind of like a behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah, it's just like they're little shorts that are basically just like if you animated an MSV story, like, hey, here's a hidden variation you never saw in the TV show that does blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's all right. It's not anything amazing.
6.5 minutes. I mean, I've watched worse. That's been longer. So
yeah, I'll have to check this out. I haven't even seen part 1, so it's cool.
By the way, you skipped a pretty big news item from Mr. MCT Dread as well.
Yeah. The memorial screenings to be held on June 10th to celebrate animator.
No.
Okay.
Before that. Psy Games reveals Bang Brave original TV anime.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Okay. Sorry about that.
We cannot let this pass because this is a new mecha anime directed by Obari.
Oh my lord.
Okay. Well, why don't you just do this one, Chris? Because I mean, I'm gonna let you take this. Yes, I'm sorry. I missed this. I scrolled too much. So.
That's all right. There's really not much to discuss. There's a short teaser video, which I was surprised to see was not geofenced for Japan. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we know it's directed by Obari. Has some pretty cool looking robot designs. Don't know anything much about it, and looking forward to more.
That looks cool. Yeah, it does look cool.
What's weird about it though is like it has a very super robot-y name, but the mecha designs are very real robot. So
Bang Braven. Yeah, I mean that's just completely super robot all over it. But
no, hold on. Is this a Brave series?
I mean, it has Brave in it, but it's not. It's not
Takara related. I haven't even
not
thought to
Takara
look.
or Sunrise. So
Oh shit!
there's never going to be a Brave series again. So no, this is not a Brave series.
Damn,
Yeah.
yo, Gal boy, put a pin in that shit. Damn.
Dude, hopes and dreams.
Oh, dead again.
Hopes and dreams crushed.
Exactly.
Version 2023.
Daily operation.
Chris wins. So Master Hopes and Dreams Killer.
You're done.
Achievement by Chris.
Back to you, Neo.
Thank you. And MC Drake comes on. I know you're going to want to talk about this one, Chris.
Oh.
The new Macross animation project to be produced by Sunrise.
Sunrise? What?
Sunrise? What?
Yo, son?
Yeah. It looks like the final day of the Sunko Presents Walker-In Final Live Tour 2023 concerts ended with an announcement that a new Macross animation project is launching from the anime studio Sunrise. Yes.
So there's been a lot of discussion about this, and
oh yeah,
I don't know if Enron is on the live stream, but got rather excited on our Discord and on Twitter about Macross being taken away from Kawamori. So I would just say, if to anyone who feels similarly to Enron, that I would not make that much of a leap based on so little information, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment if that's what you're thinking, because we have not seen any indication that Kawamori is retiring or stepping down from Macross or anything like that. And I think he's still going to be involved with this series, and not just as a mecha designer. And my take on this is, we know that Big West is paying more attention to Macross now that they have in the past. And, they fought all over the world to get trademarks back, and they're making this big push, and they're really pushing every single Macross except Daryl in the original series all over the world. And they already had said the next Macross series, which is this one, would be released simultaneously worldwide. And I think that this is the next move of that, of just branching out and scaling up their capacity, because Satellite is not that big of a studio compared to Sunrise. And looking at what they're up to, Satellite has a TV series that just started in April. Have another TV series that's going to be starting in July, and they're also working on a new Aquarian TV series. So I think if 3 projects simultaneously, they probably just don't have the capacity to animate a Macross series right now.
Wow.
So it would make sense to turn to Sunrise.
Yeah, that's wild, because they
not only that, but I'm thinking too, just on the business side of like simultaneous releases, where you got to go through all these different countries and all these different, all that different contracting nonsense about what's what. A company like Sunrise probably makes sense, because they're able to cut through all that crap.
And they already have a business relationship with Bandai, who in the past has done like Macross Frontier kits and stuff. So, I don't see that this is like creatively
a negative.
A huge thing. I think it's just more about production and distribution.
Yeah, going back to what you said about Kawamori, if he's not a writer on this or a director on this, he's more than likely a producer. So I'm sure he'll have some kind of creative influence on this.
If you're expecting a big break, I already see people saying like, "Oh, I hope we get a dark and gritty series and not this idle shit." Like, bro,
what?
These people y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop.
What the fuck?
If you are waiting for, a dark and gritty OVA of ugly, old, scarred men piloting destroids against the Zentradi in the jungle, that ain't gonna happen.
What the man?
Yeah, that's not Macross.
They lost the plot, man.
Macross has never been dark and gritty, and this is a franchise that depicted the near total annihilation of humanity in one episode.
Exactly.
It's still not a dark and gritty franchise.
Yeah.
So
hope has always been at the core of Macross. Hope and collaboration between different peoples in the end, after a shit ton of violence.
And pop music.
And pop music. There's a whimsical factor to Macross, and if you think that's going to be ripped out of this shit, I got news for you, Jack. But go ahead.
Yeah. I'll be the first to say, Delta was a very mixed bag.
Yeah.
But they made so much money off of Walkere's music. Like, they're not going to just turn tail and abandon that and go in some completely different direction. It's just not going to happen. Like,
because you have to remember, like, Gundam makes its money, it's additional money off of models. Macross, it's music and concerts. Like, that's, I mean, yeah, I get it, but I think people are just like, they're jumping to conclusions, because I'm reading this article and it just basically says this was announced, and then it just talks about the history of Macross. I mean, that's about it. Like, these are the studios that were announced today. It talks about a little bit about Big West and Harmony Gold and Studio New. I mean, it doesn't say anything else.
Consider this. A few years ago, we had heard a tease after the first Delta movie that Satellite was going to start working on a new Macross anime. And then instead, they decided to do second Delta movie, and then we didn't hear anything about that new series for years until just now. So I think that just, again, points to this being an issue of production capacity.
Yeah, I think so. That makes a lot of sense. The animation industry is being stretched thin right now as it is, so that makes sense that they would collaborate.
Well, Sunrise is the big dog.
Man, I just found out this week that the Batman Superman crossover, Studio Ghibli helped to work on that, as well as TMS. So I was like, yo, what? So yeah, but studios collaborating with each other is nothing out of the ordinary, especially if they owe each other favors.
Well, and I think that people tend to forget that they're thinking like this is like Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's still, it's big for probably this country, but like, to do these things and capacity and just, I actually thinking if you're going to do a simultaneous thing, I think it just makes sense to go with somebody that's going to be able to get you in the door.
Yeah.
And Sunrise and Bandai have been able to do. They've been doing that for a couple of years now. So it's like, why are we going to spend a bunch of resources and time to try to do something that we can just? Sometimes it's better to give up a piece of the pie than have the whole pie.
Yeah.
It's not because you'll end up having in the long run, you'll have more pieces of pie than just trying to keep all the pie to yourself at front end.
Yo, shout out to Frank Lawson. He says, save the dark and gritty for MD Geist and Ed Ads and Death Force. And Ed also killed it when he said, it's okay. The new Aquarian is going to be the sponge that soaks up all of Kawamori's dumbest ideas.
Actually, you know what? That's what I want the new Max to be. The streaming service formerly known as HBO Max.
Indeed.
I want their next story to be the live action MD Geist and MD Geist : Death Force. I think that's what the world needs.
Funded.
And those Aquarian pilots, they won't even notice Kawamori's dumb ideas because they're too busy orgasming the docking sequence, so they won't even know it.
Oh man, the last one here comes from the shade. Oh man, I know both of you have contributed. I haven't contributed yet, but I need to. Animigos to launch a Kickstarter campaign for Macross 2 anime release. Yes, Operation Free Dennis.
We'll bring Dennis to 4K, baby.
Yeah, Dennis in 4K.
Yes. You see every liver spot.
You think Animigo has the best Kickstarters?
Nothing like a gravelly smoke, whiskey drenched voice in the morning in Dolby Atmos sound. Yeah, so it looks like Animigos Robert Woodhead announced that they're going to launch a Kickstarter campaign for the release of Super Dimensional Fortress Macross 2 the movie. And let's see here. Do they have an amount? What are they trying to find here?
No,
there's no amount yet.
There's no information.
No other information, but there's hopes and dreams that this Kickstarter will go in place.
He's gonna reveal more at Otakon, so you gotta.
Yeah, I
good
say
shit.
that there. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
You gotta watch for that.
So more to come.
I mean, how much are you guys willing to pony up? I mean, it's Dennis in 4K, maybe 8K.
Like I could, oh yeah, I could see myself paying like maybe $100 for a special edition. I've ponied up for some of the their deluxe ones, like I did the deluxe of Megazone and Maddox 01. So there's no reason why I wouldn't do the deluxe on Macross 2.
Kilgore Tank. Oh man!
Shout outs to Ed again. He says, "Is there a stretch goal to find Dennis's VA?"
Find him. You have to resurrect him, probably.
I'm dead.
I mean, that's horrible if the guy's still alive.
Oh, I hope he is.
I mean, hopefully he was just like a 19-year-old college guy that just sounded like he was like 62. But
Yazzie writes, Macross 2, do you remember culture?
No.
Indeed. We try to, sir. We try.
Dennis.
And on ANN, if you click on the Macross 2 entry in Encyclopedia, the English cast, they don't even credit who plays
Dennis.
It's the wildest shit ever. Oh my God.
Dude, is this like those uncredited things like Daniel Craig as a stormtrooper and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like you have to find out who this is. I mean, who was Dennis? Who did Dennis's voice? Like, is this the next big what if, or we need to find out who it is? Oh my gosh!
One of these days, I'm glad it's
Chris,
Japanese VAs.
you know what?
Will
you offer your services out there if they need, like, we need somebody just to kind of tie up some of the vocals because some of the things got lost in the masters. Do you think anybody can do it? Do you think? Give us your best Dennis right now, Chris, if you could. Maybe you're the one. Maybe this is your big break.
That's it.
That's it.
There you go.
You
got it.
On the freaking page, they managed to list
and
the Italian and Spanish Dennises.
And Japanese, of course.
Japanese, of course, but not the English Dennis.
Nope.
Dude, I wonder how they sound. I wonder how Italian Dennis sounds. It's probably the same guy.
Just speed reading it out phonetically.
Probably.
It looks like Yazzie found his name on IMDb. Yazzie, hit me up. Hit us up with the name. I'm curious. Yeah, apparently.
Don't hold back the goods, man. Like, okay,
man, solve that mystery, baby.
The link, bro.
Okay, you found him. What's his name?
Damn near 20 years in the making.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Don't make me go. Look, I'm an important podcast person. I ain't got time for this stuff.
Exactly.
Let's see. Oh, I got a link.
Give us a link.
Oh shit, I'm going right to
man.
it. Adam Shoulder. Oh, I gotta pull
Adam
this.
Shoulder.
Adam Shoulder. Yo, we gotta celebrate this legend right here. Yo, my man. Yo, look at him. Yo,
this is Dennis.
Yo, apparently so.
Oh man, his last credit listed on here is the Street Fighter Alpha anime.
Oh, that was terrible. Yo.
Oh
shit.
Additional voices.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
I would love for us to interview this man. The years.
Oh my God. He's got contact info.
As additional voices. He also was in the original Trigun as voice.
Nice.
Oh, dude.
Oh man, he was in the crappy half dub of Orgus. Speaking of that.
Oh,
was he? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one of his earlier credits here.
Yo, Orgus strikes again, man.
Yep.
Holy shit. Yo,
he was in a manga dub of Castle of Cagliostro.
Who is the guy who uncovered this? Give him the Pulitzer. Give him the Nobel Peace Prize. We've been only wanting to know 4 years.
Oh man, he was additional voices in Akira.
Oh shit! God damn! I can't believe. Wow, he's been in some good shit.
Oh, he was additional voices in 08th MS Team.
Wow, man! I got to listen for him. In that, I got to figure out who he was. He was Miller's Report. He was.
No, he was in Miller's
It
report.
was in the full one too, but I mean, he's also. It'd probably be easier to narrow him down to Miller's report than it is the breadth of 8th MS team. But he was in Lupin 3, Lupin the Third, Lupin 3. Wow, Lupin the Third, Castle Cagliostro.
I literally already said that.
Oh well,
Yeah,
silly
he
man.
actually did
Fix my face.
Yeah.
My wife loves the Slayers.
Oh, he was a dual parallel trouble. Oh wow.
Man,
He was additional voices in that one too.
The not Tenchi series.
So is that a character? Is that a character that relates to all these universes? That's a unifying is additional voices. Hate to be an asshole, but he's in the Slayers too.
Yeah, I have to find out who Tiva is and look him up. Look that character up. But yeah, I'm hyped. I'm hyped that we finally know the name, man. It's been a long time coming. Shout out to Adam Short.
Where's our booker? Where's our booker Dolo? Does he still book these people for us?
If Adam Shoulders on social media, clip this and let him know. Let him know. We've been a fan for years, son. And matter of fact, I'm ending the show.
I mean,
I'm ending the show with the clip of Dennis.
My first question is this: it's like how many shots of Jack Daniels and how many cigarettes did you smoke before you did the Dennis script? Because you'd have to do that. If not, then this guy is a master genius and he should be a bigger voice actor.
In all honesty, it'd probably be like Dennis who?
Yes.
Why am I here?
It's been 31 years.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's. I thought I was on here for my work as additional voices, the common unifier of all anime shows.
Man. Oh, he's the co-host of a podcast called the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Okay, I'm gonna find that. Okay, I see you.
Cutting Room. It should be like Dennis's Dailies. I think would be a better name for it. I would listen to it if it was that and if he did it in Dennis's voice, that'd be even better. So.
Yes,
wow, man! Thank you, Yazi.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty awesome.
Outstanding work, sir. Outstanding work.
Yeah, if we ever get a budget, you might be part of it. I mean, Yazi, you'll be employee 4. So that's it on the news. Thank you for everyone for submitting. If you ever have any news articles, submit them to Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And I guess I'll just do the quick segue on this because I don't know how you guys want to do this.
Oh, I got the whole explanation. So you.
Oh, you got the whole explanation.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Solbro to get us into tonight's topic of the Big Four, a franchise report card.
Nice.
With Solbro Ryu. Yeah, I could be maybe. My dream is to eventually be a movie trailer guy.
Hey, man. Hey,
until he becomes ChatGPT.
I got bad news for you.
You trying to be the next Don LaFontaine?
Yeah, Don LaFontaine.
It's gonna be ChatGPT.
It is.
A world.
You're not wrong.
In a world that you didn't expect, there is a boy. It'll have like those weird, awkward things. So.
Wow. No worries.
Here's Solbro.
Well, as Neo had said, we're coming back to this topic after over a decade. We touched upon this way back in, I want to say, the second year of Gundam. But this time we're adding, of course, the MCU to the discussion. Beforehand, it was just Star Trek, Star Wars, and Gundam, and we talked about what was in common, what the series had in common, and what the series, what made the series stand out, and what our pros and cons were of that. We had a free-flowing conversation that was a lot of fun. This time around, it's going to be similar, but we're going to be talking about 3 positives. Each one of us will talk about 3 positives that each franchise has accomplished, and 3 negatives that they need to correct or need to take care of in order to move forward. And at the end of the discussion, instead of like
just
rating
3 negatives,
yeah. I mean, if you want to add more, you can. But I think some of ours will actually meet up.
No Dennis. That's my first one. No Dennis in any.
No, it's Dennis. If we share one, we'll just talk about it together, and we'll knock that out. At the very end, we'll actually give each franchise a rating. And instead of like stars or 4 out of 5, we'll actually give it a letter grade of how they're doing right now. So well, that's how we'll wrap up the segment.
So are we doing this on the AP scale or just the normal scale? Like if we're giving it
AB, you can even put minuses in there if you want. I have minuses in mine, so for my ratings. So we'll kick things off with the franchise that we didn't even get to touch upon initially, and that is Marvel. We have covered.
I say we should leave Gundam to the very end to force everyone on the live stream to stay until the end.
There you go.
Yes.
Done. Done. Deezy. Well, here are my 3 for. We're going to start with Marvel. For Marvel, we'll start with the positives. For me, the positives are what the MCU has accomplished as a franchise. When it comes down to it, no one has ever made a cinematic universe the size that the MCU is. It encompasses movies and TV shows and other types of material, and it's been a fantastic thing to watch grow. And a lot of the credit goes to Kevin Feige and his creative staff. He was really on it during the first 3 phases of the MCU, and for the most part, there was rarely a movie that didn't hit. The ones that didn't were like Thor: The Dark World, for me anyway. And trying to think if there's another one, but Thor: The Dark World is probably. Oh, and I have an appreciation for Age of Ultron now. It's still not the best movie, but it's okay. But a lot of the more modern material has kind of validated that film since it's come out. The next positive I have is that Marvel recently has been taking chances, for better or for worse. I do like that they have a lot to say when it comes to involving people of people of color and of unique backgrounds and whatnot. Miss Marvel was probably one of the best series I watched, and I really appreciate that. I like the fact that Disney Plus is an avenue for us to get more MCU series and whatnot. Although there's a negative side to that, and I'll get that into my negatives as well. My last positive is the special presentations. The special presentations, there's only been 2 of them so far, but both of them have rocked. I loved Werewolf by Night. I thought it was a fantastic work, and it was pretty cool to see Michael Giacchino finally have a chance to direct as well as compose. So I didn't think he was as good a director as he turned out to be. So shout outs to him for doing such a great job. And also the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special was fantastic. I laughed my ass off watching it. It was really, really entertaining, and it sucks that James Gunn is not going to be doing Marvel stuff anymore. So I will turn it over to Chris. Chris, what are your positives for Marvel?
One I would say is some of these TV series digging more into characters that you didn't have much time with in the movies. So I would say, for instance, WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even though that series was very mid, or Hawkeye. So these are some characters who are not like leading figures, although now Sam is getting his own movie as the 4th Captain America film. So it's nice to do sort of a deeper dive into some of these characters and also some of these concepts, because the snap was such a huge thing. This traumatizing event for the entire universe where trillions of people just ceased to be for 5 years, and the movies necessarily kind of just gloss over the aftermath of that.
Oh yeah.
And some of these Disney Plus shows try to show what happens, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, again, not a great series, but it tried to show what are some of the problems that happen when half the world's population suddenly reappears after you have only been growing food to fit the population you have, and people have moved into the houses of people who are declared dead, and how do you deal with all these problems? It's not something that an MCU movie is ever going to be about. I'm glad that they explored that on some of the Disney Plus shows.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very glad about the return of Daredevil. we saw Daredevil appear in She-Hulk, and we saw Kingpin appear in Hawkeye, and we're going to see them both in Daredevil Born Again, and I hope this opens the door for more Netflix people to return, except for Iron Fist, because fuck them. No disrespect to Danny Rand, but like fuck that version of that.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Less said the better. That'll be good, and I know that it's not going to have the same dark and violent tone as the Netflix series, but I hope it's at least thematically like its predecessor.
Yeah. Agree.
And some of the self-contained storytelling, I really enjoyed Guardians Volume 3 and the Holiday Special. And both of those stories show, and Werewolf by Night as well, that you can just do a good story and not have to tie into whatever the fuck the massive arc is.
Yes, thank you.
And everything has to be in service to the big fucking arc.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree.
But that also relates to some of my negatives, which I'll get into later.
Cool. Yeah. Neo, you're up to bat.
Well, I have to agree with you, Sobro. I mean, the Infinity Saga, which is phases 1, 2, and 3, the most impressive accidental thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, I mean, from as a viewer, and I can't say as being parts of Disney or Marvel, or I know Kevin Feige and these people will probably say we knew it was going to end up like this. No, maybe not. But the fact that you had 11 movies that ended up where you start off in 2008 with Iron Man, which I still think is one of the most solid movies ever. And I will fight people on this one. And not just because I'm a huge Iron Man fan, just because of just how good it is in its simplicity. And the fact that it's this niche thing, a B-level character in the Marvel comic book universe. That is the first stepping point. And it brought in people that didn't even know comics.
Yeah, did you happen to see the video they put out recently on Marvel on YouTube where it was Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige sitting down talking about the 15th anniversary of Iron Man and how the movie got put together? It's like 15 minutes. It's very, very interesting, and it was just cool to see them talk about it in retrospect, how they casted Robert Downey Jr. and how that movie all came together against all odds. It worked out and came out during one of the best summer movie years, period. That was the same year we got The Dark Knight and Tropic Thunder as well. So, it was you're absolutely right.
Well,
Iron Man was
whatever, amazing. but the fact that it spawned something and then that it made people, because you had the comic book people hooked. Right. And then you had people that weren't comic book people like, have you seen this Iron Man? This is a freaking cool thing. And then, to me, which is still the thing that, as a comic book fan growing up and, not as much now, but still a huge fan of things. I mean, I still love the first Avengers movie, and the fact that when I see that stupid 360 so cliche scene of you seeing all of them assemble before they're, to save New York. I mean, it's the coolest thing ever. Yes. And the fact at the end of Infinity War, where the whole entire world was like, what the hell happens? Or I'm sorry, and after Infinity War, because it's horrible.
It was a shared
experience. And then you go to
Endgame,
and then it's like it was the biggest thing. I mean, the fact that you're able to do that, and then because of other things that happen business-wise, you're able to kind of shoehorn in Spider-Man. You're kind of able to put Captain Marvel in there, Miss Marvel in there. Actually, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I mean, and it works. It's just amazing to me. Big thing. I'm with Chris. The ability to use the streaming platform to have the stories, to give more depth into some of the things that happens, because he's right. The snap is one of it's still the most singular horrible thing that ever happened. And I still feel that, and I guess this would be a negative to me, is like, and maybe that's something I talk about, on my negatives, where it's like,
if you want to dive into your negatives right now, you're more than welcome to.
I almost feel like that should have been like, we should have gotten more of that. Like maybe the next phases has more of that, like aftermath type of thing.
Yeah.
But I'll get into that, because like I've always said, to me, I've always wanted to see movies with like World War II movies are always popular. People always love those, but it's like I almost want to see like the immediate aftermath, because it's like, okay, that's the real drama. How do things go on, and and think people pick up the pieces. And the fact of just making comic book characters mainstream and accepted, and really shining a light and bringing probably focus into like, I feel bad for all these guys that are dead now, like Jack Kirby and Steve.
Oh yeah,
Steve Ditko still he's dead too.
He's been dead for a long.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are gone, and it's like I almost feel like I feel bad for them now, because they're finally getting their due. It's like, it's like, okay, they told stories, and they told stories with like in a comic book way, but they're still good storytellers, and I think that it shows that it brought to people that as long as there's a good story and it's entertaining, who cares what the source material of it is, or who cares what the characters do? I mean, we've seen this crossover to stuff like Game of Thrones and all these other things where it's like, stuff people would never touch, and it's like, that I think is a positive.
So. Yeah, I think the MCU may have made genre storytelling a lot more popular nowadays than almost any other factor out there. It might be the reason why we have a Game of Thrones on HBO and all that. It's just people are more open-minded with what they want to consume now. It's not just cop shows and procedurals and all that shit. It's we now have kind of a great variety of things.
Go making that connection, because Game of Thrones was being worked on before Iron Man even came out.
That's fair, but it didn't air until 2011. But you're right, it was in production. Because I know when we first met you, was one of the big things that came up. So you're right, 2007. It was even being worked on even back then. But I'd like to think they kind of set the stage for that. That's in my own head canon, I suppose. But.
I just feel that the fact that it just shows that you can have good storytelling from source material, that it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, a good story is a good story, and I think that's what you got from it. I mean,
one of the best things of the MCU, especially in the early days, was that it, against the Hollywood conventional wisdom of, we have to take these comic book properties and massively change them and tone them down from what they were if we want to appeal to the average moviegoer. Like, the fact that all of these characters were completely devoid of color, that Hollywood was so scared of color.
Yeah.
They thought color in costumes would scare people away, is the most ridiculous thing, and the MCU just let comic book characters be comic book characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, because if you look at the X-Men films, the early X-Men films, they're in the black and yellow, mostly
black, not even the yellow.
Mostly black, mostly black leather. They're kind of like motorcycle. They almost look like motorcycle jackets and motorcycle pants that you would wear, and of course, that is coming from the early 2000s, kind of like Ultimate X-Men and things like that. But you're right. I mean, the fact that Captain America, in the first Avenger, they show him that he's going through, he's fighting the Nazis in a blue outfit.
In pajamas.
Pretty close. I mean, it is just, you're like, okay. They didn't go to the full-on, Ultimates Captain America, who was, blue, but a little bit more rugged looking, and a little bit, a little closer to what the actual, troops were wearing. So, yeah, you're absolutely right on it, Chris.
Well, all right. We'll dive into the negatives next. My first one is that it's high time to rethink the multiverse saga. Kevin, I don't know if you're listening. You're probably not.
Well, that's mine too.
Oh, we'll share this one then. Kevin, I love you, dude. But right now,
I guess we have the triumvirate on this one because I'm not getting it.
Yeah,
I don't know the end point here.
Yeah, so. When it comes down to it, I know he repeatedly says that it'll all make sense, and maybe retroactively it will. But right now, just things are not clicking, man. It's almost like you guys are throwing too much at the wall and it's not sticking. I've enjoyed a great deal of what you put out, but some of it doesn't. A big thing that bothers me about this saga so far is that certain things that are on the Disney Plus shows don't seem to hold weight in the movies. I think the worst example of this is with Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision. WandaVision was so fucking good. And recently there was an interview with Elizabeth Olsen where she was asked about WandaVision and why it didn't really play much of a role in Multiverse of Madness, and even she was upset about that. She put so much into that show and thought it would do that, but she found out that the people who were writing the movie didn't even watch the show. Didn't even watch it. So they did touch upon it a little bit. You know, there are slight connections.
That's also in the early days of this experiment of now we're going to start doing TV shows. And you know, let's give WandaVision the blame that it deserves.
Yeah.
Because at the end of that show, for as brilliant as it was, the last episode turned into MCU CGI effects battle.
Yeah.
And also, I'm still annoyed to this day whenever I watch that clip. That scene at the end of Monica talking to her, the total fucking cop-out of absolving Wanda of the terrible things that she did to the poor people of this town.
It would have hit harder.
Just totally glossed over.
It would have hit harder if she was made to actually to have to accept her involvement in that Wanda, her responsibility for what she did. Instead of like just brushing it off, it's like you're still a good person. That's to be debated.
Never know what you did. Like, yeah, they know what you did. You drove them insane to the point that they all just wanted to die because of the way that you traumatized them, living in this disgusting fantasy of yours. Like, no, you're a bad person. You did a very bad thing.
Yeah, and
it's not just a simple mistake.
Exactly.
Washed away in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I get that she was missing vision, but the whole town didn't have to suffer for that. But it would have made a great conflict of the series if they just stuck the landing with that. And that's a big problem with the TV shows, is that they don't usually stick the landing. They're good at building it up, but the payoff is not always worth the time watching. So they have to really work on that. Like, you have to really construct an ending that leaves you with something strong. Instead of just
honestly, it probably would have been better if Wanda had just not been in Multiverse of Madness at all.
You know, you're not wrong.
You could have subbed in any other like magic-based heavy in there. What's the difference?
Hey, Mephisto.
Really? Oh, Mephisto's always lurking everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody and everybody could be Mephisto, and I could be Mephisto right now.
You're right.
You wouldn't even know. I'm not, but I could be.
Suddenly you become Sacha Baron Cohen.
But anyway.
But yeah, you got to rethink this. Right, with the strike going on right now, everything's on hold. So you do have a chance to kind of like truncate what's going on with the Multiverse saga. I know the ultimate goal is to get the Secret Wars. And to bring in the X-Men and mutants and all that stuff. And it's a slow drip right now. But being, this goes into my second, being that there is too much that you guys are trying to do all at once, it's stretching you thin. And I'm glad to hear that they're pulling back the lever on production of these TV shows.
That's also one of mine.
Yeah, exactly. So we might as well roll into this together.
I wrote it as MCU is developing many of the same problems as long-running comics.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
We're starting to get into, now we're going to retcon this, and this guy was like secretly in the background of this movie, but you just didn't see him, and now this happened this other way, and now we got to change this thing, and it's like, you really have embraced the comics storytelling and now have all the exact same problems that all of these ongoing, universes have.
Yeah, including the politics within.
It's the comic book fatigue where somebody does an innovative story, it gets big, and then they have to do so many different offshoots because they're like, you know what, let's strike while it's hot. And then there's so many different comics and there's so many different stories, and they start just being bland, and everybody's like, you know what, I'm not buying this anymore. And then what do they have to do? They have to pare back. It's the comic book boom bust cycle that they've had from like every decade almost.
Exactly.
So,
Because of all the glut of what we're getting, there's no real clear direction in Phase 4 so far. I say my last one is not every character deserves a show. When it comes down to it, if you want to take a character, a side character, and introduce them to us, you did the wonderful thing of making special presentations. It's been late in the day, but they're here now. If you want to center the show around maybe a minor character, do a special presentation on them. It doesn't even have to connect, but if we're introduced to the character and they show up later, that's a cool thing. I don't mind. We don't have to invest so much time in that. And I'm more for that. I'm more in line for that, especially after hearing that they're dropping all of Echo in one day on Disney Plus. It was supposed to be it's a series they're working on that's a spin-off of Hawkeye. They just announced they're dropping it in one day, and the speculation is that they're doing that so that way they can sweep it under the rug because it's not good. There's been reports that there's been a lot of problems on set for that show, and I was kind of worried about that show ever since they announced it, because as much as Echo was interesting to me in Hawkeye, I didn't know if they could pull off an entire show about her and her goings on. So to find out that they're dropping all of that in one day does not bode well, and I hope I'm wrong. I really am. I hope it turns out to be a gem, but we'll see. But yeah, those are my negatives.
Well, if you want to read some good Echo stuff, go read the Bendis Daredevil run. Because she's a fascinating character, and there's a lot more interesting stuff with her in those comics, which provided the source for the TV version that you've seen now.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, if anything, I'll have to check that out. I hope that show is good, because it's nice to see an actress like her, especially one that is hearing impaired, be the center stage of a series, and it also focuses on Native Americans and things like that. I think that's awesome. I'm sad to get the vibe that it may not be good, but we'll see what happens. But Chris, I'm gonna turn it over to you. What are your remaining negatives, or did we touch upon them all?
Just the one is there was too much content in Phase 4, and specifically Disney Plus. And I know that this is not so much an issue anymore because Bob Chapek, the former CEO who was ousted and replaced by the guy that he replaced, Bob Iger, he was the one who was pushing all of this content to feed the Disney Plus beast, like just a constant stream of, as soon as this show is done, you got to watch this other big IP show, and maybe sometimes they'll overlap. And this is one of my negatives for Star Wars as well. Too much content for Disney Plus, and thankfully, under Iger 2.0, that's been pared back. We've read reports that they're slowing down the pace of stuff that they're releasing on Disney Plus in terms of the series. That there's stuff that they have already filmed in the before the writer's strike happened, but they're going to delay some of these things until next year. I mean, we had all of these shows come out in the span of 2 years. This year we have just a couple. We have Secret Invasion, which I'm excited for. We have Loki season 2, and then the one-day dump of Echo at the end of the year. So I think 3 is definitely more manageable.
Yeah,
and they should not do any more than that. It got to be too much in Phase 4.
Yeah,
they even pushed
too many shows, and the quality control was just not there. Like,
not there. Yeah,
I hesitate to just hit on Falcon and Winter Soldier again because
what about She-Hulk?
Love Anthony Mackie. I love Sebastian Stan. Zemo was great in that. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but it's like that story was just half baked. I know they had a lot of problems because of like the pandemic story rewrite and yada yada, but it was just not a great series. Moon Knight, I did not like that series. I like Oscar Isaac.
Either. Yeah,
it's just not a good show.
Hawkeye, I've never finished it. Hawkeye,
there's just
but
there was just too much stuff going on, and Feige was in too many places at once to be able to maintain the level of quality you were expecting from the MCU. And it started off great with WandaVision, but like you could see it like a steady decline over the course of more and more shows popping up. And there were some bright spots. I really enjoyed Miss Marvel and She-Hulk, but overall it was a mixed bag of these Phase 4 shows, and also like what's the ultimate impact of some of these shows. And I want to go back to one of my points that we touched on, and I had written as Multiverse Saga starting to feel like a chore. And this is definitely a shift in Marvel, because before they used to be like, well, we don't acknowledge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any of this other stuff in the movies because we don't want you to feel that you have to watch these TV shows and you missed out on something. We want you to enjoy the movies. Now, starting with Phase 4, though, they're like, oh, you didn't watch episode 5 of Miss Marvel before seeing this movie in the theater? Fuck you.
Yeah, very much.
That's the way they are now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I wholly agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with you on that, and I don't know if that was the business model of just giving us the Disney Plus stuff, or it was just a thing because of the pandemic, because that's like pandemic time.
Probably a bit of both.
Probably both, yeah. But it sucked the life out of you, and it was becoming a chore. I was like, hey, what the hell? What do I watch? And too much.
Yeah, and one final comment relating to everything we've talked about so far. Phase 5 did not get off to a good start with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, because I feel like that movie exists for no other purpose than just, okay, at some point we have to really do something that sets up Kang. Who's it going to be? Okay, it's Ant-Man.
And with the conflict going on with Jonathan Majors right now,
we forget even Jonathan Majors and what he's possibly done.
I'm not worried about
like,
that. Yeah. Who cares about that? That's a whole different thing.
I storytelling.
Because remember, Rhodey used to be Terrence Howard.
That's fair.
That doesn't matter. I mean, Edward Norton was the Hulk at one point, and so
the storytelling was not there in Ant-Man. I don't like MODOK at all, even in just the comics, but this version that they did was especially stupid. It was just a mess of a movie. Tonally, it was all over the place of going between extremes of really serious stuff and really ridiculous stuff, which better written movies like Guardians of the Galaxy can manage. This movie did not.
Yeah, I still need to see 3.
It's like this is how you're starting off Phase 5. Like, come on, guys, you're not putting your best foot forward here.
I haven't even finished Ant-Man and the Wasp. I sat there at the charging station trying to watch it in the car, and it was like 30 minutes in. I'm like, this is just stupid. It was just I felt like it just didn't matter. Like, I'm just watching stuff that doesn't matter, and I agree with both of you on your negatives. The only other negative that I have is that I feel like now too, because Marvel or Disney feels like they have to one up everything. This idea of going after big fish as actors or directors or things like that, just get people that fit what you're trying to do. Just don't. I mean, I like Harry Styles, but do we need him? The woman that directed The Eternals, I know she was an Academy Award winner for a completely different movie. Yeah, I'm sure she's good. I never saw the movie, but that movie suffers. And that was a big selling point. Oh, it's got this Chinese lady and it's like, okay, great, but the movie wasn't very good. It was just, I mean, they're trying to they're almost going away from the formula that they had. I mean, you think about it. People forget Robert Downey Jr. in 2008 was untouchable in Hollywood. Yeah. They were told, are you fucking crazy having this guy on here? He's a freaking drug addict, alcoholic, crazy man. You got people, James Gunn. Who the fuck was James Gunn before Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, seriously. Anybody that says they knew who he was probably is just bullshitting.
I knew who he was.
I know who he was.
I watched Super.
I watched Super, and he wrote both of the Scooby Doo's.
Yeah.
But was he a director? But was he a director?
Yeah.
No.
He was.
Directed Super.
Yeah. But the thing is like these weren't household names.
And Slither
like were not.
And Slither too.
And I feel like that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Angelina Jolie, great actress, but I mean, and she was good in that movie, but still, it's like, I feel like they're just kind of big game hunting now. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, this is a Marvel movie, and it's probably part of the two. There's probably a thing in Hollywood where these people are like, oh shit, we need to get part of these things, because, this is where you're going to make the money. But, I mean, the fact that it came out earlier this week where Chris Hemsworth is like, he's sitting there talking about how his kids are making fun of him for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Like his kids and his kids' friends.
It was too silly. Like, yeah, anybody could have told you that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, way overboard on that movie unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like there's not this. I mean, you just got to get this. You got to kind of get back to the fundamentals, and I think that's where they need to just they got to kind of do it. Is like, if we're gonna have people in it, we're gonna do these people are they what will make the story better? Yeah. Not we're just gonna say, hey, we have this person, they're gonna be in this. Yeah. And so that's my take.
Shout out to Yazzie for bringing up Shang-Chi. That was an awesome movie. I'm not gonna even front. It suffers in the third act like a lot of MCU movies do. But I quite enjoyed that movie. I thought it was one of the stronger parts of Phase 4. Like,
what franchise is next?
We might as well give our grade for Marvel overall since we're touching upon these franchises at the same time. For me, it's a B. It's a B minus. I think overall it's done well. It's just lately it's been stumbling. But they're working on correcting it, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they will. And I am looking forward to future projects from them in the next couple of years. But what are you guys' grades for Marvel?
C+.
C+. Okay, fair enough. Neo.
I'll give it a B just because the first 11 movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
first 18.
I'm sorry. No. The Infinity Saga. Yeah, phases 1, 2, and 3.
The Infinity Saga is like over 20 movies.
It's like 22, 23.
Well, but whatever it is. But phases 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
It skews it, even with all the missteps that they've had recently. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I give it just a solid B. So I'm probably the highest one. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm the Solbra.
Hey man, you are the comic book collector out of the three of us. So if anything, that makes perfect sense.
Chris is quite a bit. Chris is probably more so than me at this point. Yeah.
Fix my face.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's still kind of he's still kind of buying them. I not so much anymore.
Oh man. Well, there you go. I learned something today. My bad.
Comic book shops are dying, dude.
Yeah.
I don't see them as much around here anymore.
It's kind of a boutique business nowadays. Props to the ones that are still out there, though. If anything, I hope you guys stay in business a long time. But we're going to move on to Star Trek next. We're going to kind of space out the Disney-related franchises. But what's
woke.
Woke? It's so woke.
Yeah.
That's one of my negatives, baby. It's too fucking woke. No, I'm lying.
When did it become political? I'm sorry.
When? Right?
When did Star Trek ever become? That's my ultimate negative. When did it become political?
When did Star Trek become
Captain Kirk was never political. They never. There was never. Oh wait, there was that one about the black and white guy.
Foolishness. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Go ahead.
Starting with the positives. There is a ton of legacy that can be fertile ground for future stories, and I think we're definitely going to see them tap into that more as things progress. At least I hope so.
As long as Lower Decks is there, we're going to see Easter eggs up the wazoo.
Hell yeah.
So.
Damn straight. For the most part, New Trek has been solid. I know it's had some ups and downs, at least with Discovery, but I believe it's been pretty solid. I've enjoyed Picard. Picard season 1 was okay. Season 2 was rough. Season 3 was
Two-thirds of it's
spectacular.
bad. Dude.
I think to me, season 3 makes up for all of it. So
even season 3 is like
and my last one is please keep track all in one place, which will eventually get me into a negative because I do know Paramount's financial state right now. They're in a shitload of debt. And a lot of people speculate that Paramount Plus may not last as a service. So we may see it all end up on different services in the future, which is a scary prospect. I'd rather keep all the property in one spot. And
it's like a fetch quest, dude.
Like putting together the Triforce, huh?
It's like a fetch quest.
Goodness.
So look at it as a positive.
Those are my positives quickly. Fellas, Chris, I'll pass it on to you. What are your positives so far for Star Trek as a franchise?
So my positives are, that they're focusing on TV series because Star Trek has always worked best when it was on TV, whether it's a storyline or just a random episode of the Enterprise or whatever, encountering some weird anomaly or something. And I think that Star Trek has thrived under this model, and 5 TV series simultaneously is a lot, but now that number's starting to go down because Picard is over, and we've only got 1 season left of Discovery. But then we got Section 31 TV movies spinning up, and the Starfleet Academy series, which I'm still about. Yeah. But
I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm glad that we have this focus on TV. Number 2. Diverse selection of show types, because if you like darker fare, you got Discovery and Picard. If you want kind of the swashbuckling space adventure, you got Strange New Worlds. If you want something that's like kind of goofy, you got Lower Decks. And if you want a family show that's good for kids and adults, you have Prodigy. Like, they got all the bases covered.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Wars, for instance, is just more of the same of everything.
Yeah, with the exception of one show.
You really with
the exception of one show, yes. Yeah. But like, they're doing kind of the samey kind of thing in a lot of these Star Wars shows, and then Star Trek is just like, let's just do a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah. And it's working. And it's nice that, I mean, granted, it doesn't feel overwhelming when it comes to Star Trek because they're spaced out in a way where one replaces the other. And we had a whole year Star Trek. What year was it? 2001 or 2021 or 22? I forget which. But when there was a break
like
in Star Trek,
30-something weeks straight of just like new episodes of everything. It was good eating.
It was real good eating, man. You loved it. You loved to see it. But it didn't feel overwhelming, and the shows are so different, and they don't tie together, so there's not the pressure of trying to remember what happened and what. Sometimes they make crossover lore, but other than that, that's it. So it feels different. But back to you. Sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a chore to watch these things, and you can choose to watch or not watch what you want. A positive that I don't know if anybody else has this is their commitment to physical media for the new series.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is something that cannot be said for most of the streaming services. Like, for instance, Disney Plus. We're just talking about it. We'll be talking about it again. Not a single TV series released on Disney Plus is available on physical media.
That is insane, man.
Netflix also, most of their stuff not on there. Hulu, and now thanks to Warner Bros. Discovery starting the dickery, we have all of these streaming-only things being taken away and just erased. Like, Disney just removed Willow, the TV series.
Yep.
Never got a physical release. Wasn't going to anyway, but they're throwing all this stuff in the memory hole, and if you don't have it on physical media, you cannot have control of it for yourself, unless, of course, go hoist the pirate flag. Yeah. Which I push people in that direction. I own every single Blu-ray of all of modern Star Trek that has been released so far.
Oh wow, man! I own Lower Decks season 1.
Paramount Plus goes down, or my friend that I'm mooching off of ends her subscription. Shout outs to Callie for giving me Paramount Plus for free.
Nice.
I have my own personal library that I can go access whenever I want to. So again, friends, physical media is important, whether it's movies, games, whatever, because if you go all digital, you give all the control to these companies to disappear things whenever they choose to.
And these companies don't want you to
Or,
own.
And they will.
they censor some. I was just reading on the Criterion Channel streaming service. The French Connection has been censored.
It has been like 4 minutes of it. It's when
4 minutes. Well, it's a scene where Gene Hackman's character Popeye Doyle says the N
word. Yeah, they edited out the movie, and it's like, yo, that was the era that it was made in. It's super weird that
he's a racist. Like he's a racist character. Like that's the point. Like it's not good to say the N word.
Yeah,
but that's the point. Like he's not a great guy.
Yeah, he's a protagonist, but he's
if
also
you watch
got problems.
Popeye, if you watch The Friendship, which is of course an absolute masterpiece of a movie.
Yep.
But if you walk away from that thinking that Popeye Doyle is a good guy, like you kind of missed the message. Yeah. You didn't pay attention. So like trying to do that kind of stuff, or more Lucasing of things like we all know about McClunky.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I always support physical media. I have tons of anime on physical media because that stuff's gonna disappear before you know it, and then go super expensive. I'm still very annoyed about not buying Lelouch the Resurrection, which went out of print less than 6 months after it came out and is now super expensive. I don't understand why.
Oh wow!
But you can't really count on the goodwill of these companies because now they see money in just deleting things and removing things, which is ridiculous to me. But this is the world now, so I really do have to applaud Paramount and CBS for having this commitment to releasing Star Trek on physical media and not a huge amount of lag time. Usually it's about like 6 months or so, or 8 months, and then you get it. So aside from Picard season 3, which of course is going to come out probably later this year, everything else is already available on Blu-ray.
Well, I think the thing with the streaming stuff is where they see it is they want you to rebuy this stuff like multiple times.
Yeah, they want you to stay subscribed.
Yeah.
And if there's physical media, that's less incentives to stay subscribed. But again, like, let's put it on a lag. Like the 6 to 8 months that Paramount waits seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, it's crystal clear that they don't want you to own these movies and TV shows anymore. They want to have you on the leash for them, so that way they can continue.
Look, Hollywood has always hated, even though it's made them tens of billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Hollywood has always hated the idea of people owning movies, going back to the VCRs.
Yep.
And when Jack Valenti, the head of the MPA back then, was on Capitol Hill testifying. And this is an actual quote. You can look this up. He said that, the future where you could tape movies, the VCR would be to the Hollywood creator what the Boston Strangler was to the Woman Home Alone. That's literally what he said. That's an almost direct quote.
God damn.
That's the kind of... Think about where Hollywood would be if the VHS home video market had never taken off. Can you freaking imagine?
It'd be a weird
made
world.
So much money from VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But they were kicking and screaming like it was the worst thing ever.
Which is nuts because, so go ahead, Neil. I didn't mean to.
No, because their whole idea is you buy the video, you buy the Blu-ray, they only get the money once.
Yeah. Once, yeah.
Because the problem with them is they want to get the money each time it's viewed. That's the way they think. Mm-hmm. Is each time it's viewed, they should get money for that. And
it's like when in the 90s, I don't know if you remember, not the codec, but when Circuit City sponsored the DivX DVD platform.
Oh yeah, man!
That would hard encode your discs to your one player, so that you could never sell them and you could never lend them to anyone. And people fought against this, and it died immediately. It's like they have always wanted to claw back that control away from us and that ownership, and just have movies be a service, and streaming has given them that opportunity.
With DivX too, they tried to let you only watch a movie so many times too. The device doesn't keep track of it. It was the worst.
This was back in 1997 they were trying to do this. So it's like They have wanted for decades to take that power away from us.
Yes, they absolutely do. They are completely scheming on trying to make more money off of us, but they've made so much money off of home video, and we saw this with the music industry too. Like when Napster hit and proved to the music industry that you got to make your music available digitally, and it completely revolutionized that whole industry basically with making music so easily available online. But they went into that kicking and streaming as well, except for Apple. Apple said, we're on top of this, fuck y'all. but the music industry was not happy about that shit at first, and they're probably still not.
They're still not happy.
Yeah.
I mean, but the music industry is still not as powerful as the movie industry.
Oh,
but yeah,
The game industry.
And look at the game industry. Like, why am I paying? When I do a digital download that I'm paying the same price as the physical copy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes no sense. Like,
Exactly.
it actually makes absolutely no sense. And but that's what they do because they're just But okay. So, Chris, anything else?
That's it for me.
Go for it, Neil.
My positives of Star Trek. First one, Prodigy.
Oh yeah, man.
Keep doing what they're doing. My second positive, Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, the weirdness that I'm seeing with that new trailer, I'm like, okay, I feel like we're losing too much sight and we're going to the ways of like making it too campy and stuff. I just keep it the way it was. That'll work.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably my other positive too is know your role, know where know what makes sense for you, and just like Chris said, in the end, TV was always what Star Trek is. A movie here, a movie there works, but your bread and butter is that. So it's gonna be interesting to see the Section 31 movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happens with that. I think the problem you have with that one now is that woman became she won the Academy Award.
Oh, Michelle
so
Yeoh?
Yeah, so it's like
She still wants to do it, and she said she would have still done it as a TV series.
Yeah.
So she really likes Georgiou.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, so it's I don't know.
I think it just works better probably as a movie.
I think so.
Probably, yeah, probably. Especially with that character. I think if you're going to do a Section 31 series, you need somebody new. Like it probably makes sense just to have a completely new character. So those are my positives at this point.
Right on. We'll slide into the
next. I go to my negatives if you want.
Yeah, go right on. Slide right in.
Still being trapped with the Enterprise. The Starfleet Academy stuff. The end of Picard. It's like we got to rename this vessel the Enterprise. I mean, just
you're not feeling that.
You're never going to be rid of the Enterprise in Star Trek.
I get it, but just do it in a better way. I think it's just ham-fisted. So that's it. Another negative would be is just is there really something there? It would be nice to see where we could have a film. The current crop of what outside of the Section 31 stuff, but outside of it, could we have like a theater release of something? It doesn't get big again.
That's one of mine too.
I don't know. I don't know if that works. I mean, Discovery's on its way out. I think the problem with Strange New Worlds is we know how it ends. I mean, in the end, it's like we know that there's an end point on this. They can stretch it out only to a certain point where whatever. And I think this is my only two. I only really have two negatives of Star Trek. I think of these four franchises, outside of that and one other one, I'm pretty positive in the way that they're going. So I just have to. So.
Well, if that's the case, if that's yours, Chris, you can go ahead and dive into your negatives for Star Trek.
All right. My first one, and I have this exact same one for Star Wars as well.
Mm-hmm.
Incoherent movie strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Because there has been an absolute mess of Star Trek movies for a couple of years now. They tried to do a fourth Kelvin movie, and they announced that they're doing it, and we're gonna have everybody back, and we're gonna have Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth and yada yada, and everyone's like, all the actors are like, news to me. Nobody told me about this. And then that died, and then we got this Quentin Tarantino like gangster movie that literally nobody wants. That died. And it's like, oh, now we have Fargo guy writing a Star Trek movie, and then that died. And then there's at least one other movie somebody was writing in this period.
Tarantino?
Some lady. Oh, I literally just said Tarantino.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, the audio dropped. My fault.
Some lady was writing another one. That died. It's like, what are you do? Like, figure out what you are doing. Stop announcing things. Stop talking about people doing stuff if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's my same complaint for Star Wars, word for word. Like, stop announcing that you have such and such movie of like Rogue Squadron, or you've got such and such person writing and directing, and then all of these things have been announced and not a single one of them came to pass. Like, stop teasing these things that don't go anywhere. So that we can shave off of my bad for Star Wars when we get to that.
That's mine.
Number 2,
Mm-hmm.
too many similar plots on the new shows, and I'm referring to the AI ships.
Yeah,
we talked about this in our review, so I don't need to elaborate on that. But it's already happened like 3 freaking times now, 4 if you count Discovery season 2. So we need to just stop with that plot. We don't need to ever see that storyline again.
The story groups need to actually sit down and talk to each other about what their plans are for their individual stories.
They do, though. They do. They meet once a month to make sure that they don't step on each other's toes.
Okay.
And yet all of this happened anyway.
That's insane.
Isn't it, though?
Oh, my God. Well, they got some work to do.
Yeah. And my number 3, no Blu-rays for Deep Space Nine or Voyager.
Oh, shit. Yeah, they need to get on that.
Yeah.
Those series
I know they have to spend lots
recently.
of money. They have to spend lots of money redoing the special effects, but just fucking do it. Like, come on, man. Just
you got the money, and people will buy it. You can put the
people will buy it.
premium on
Just
the
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, next gen didn't sell. Who fucking cares? Like, that was like 10 years ago. Just get over it. Just fucking put out the product, and that's it. Just stop complaining.
Man. But those are fucking good ones.
That's my negatives.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Mine are some in line. I mentioned earlier that right now, and this is something that's just out of our control, that Paramount is heavily in debt. Their debt for 2022, long-term debt was $15 billion. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to affect the company, but if it affects the company, it may also affect Star Trek in a way where they may end up selling it off. So I'm kind of worried about that.
There's no way Paramount ever sells off Star Trek.
You don't think so? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I hope you.
They'll sell off everything else.
I
They'll
hope
sell
you
off
are right.
all those like Yellowstone shit and all that other crap.
Yellowstone's
before
making
they
them
sell.
money, so I'm not even going to front. That is what's making them the most money right now. Is that franchise?
Except that they don't have it on their streaming service.
They're about to fix that because they're about to kill off Kevin Costner and end that show and then reboot it on Paramount Plus, which may keep the service alive. So I'm hoping that's the I hope that's the tactic. But we'll see. My next thing, as Chris had mentioned, I'm not thrilled about the Starfleet Academy series premise right now, especially if it takes place in the 32nd century. If it takes place in the 25th century, you might be talking there. But I know they're going to push that through because I know that is the main focus right now. That they actually recently hired Tawny Newsome as a writer on that show. Tawny Newsome is the voice actress for Mariner on Lower Decks, so she's the actual writer on that show. And they're on pause right now, but before the writer's strike, they were working on it. So if anything, it's probably going to happen. I just hope it's good. I hope they really change my mind about that, but we'll see. And with Chris, I wanted to embellish on the theatrical releases not coming out, and also Neo, because you both mentioned the fact that we really haven't had a movie in a while, not since not since the third of the reboot. The Kelvin timeline movies, Star Trek Beyond, and that was the mid 2010s that we got that. So it's been a minute.
7 years, which is already now the longest gap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's now equal to the longest gap, which previously was Nemesis to the first Kelvin movie.
Yeah.
And because there's nothing in production, this is going to now become the longest gap ever.
Pretty much. I will say this: there's been a surge of actors that have been voicing their love for Star Trek. A lot of people are asked during interviews, "Do you want to be in a Star Wars movie?" It's like, I'm not really a big Star Wars fan. I love Star Trek though. Several of them are.
That's what Nick Cage said.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson, Nick Cage, Tom Hanks, Rihanna, Daniel Craig, and Mila Kunis. Ben Stiller is a big Star Trek fan. At least the original series. And we know
Josh
Kristen
Gad
Stewart
was tweeting every single week about how much
Picard!
he loved season 3 of Picard,
Yeah,
like a
man.
big old nerd. So
there's a lot of actors that would love to play in the Star Trek universe. And if you did a contained story, just make an original story set in the Star Trek universe, whether it's the original series or whatever, and just make a compelling story. It doesn't have to be directly connected to something, but it can just be an original story without the Enterprise, just something going on and the characters living through it. If you want to set something during Wolf 359, you can do that. You can do any number of things. Just make a compelling film and get good writers on it and a great director, and you really put something out there that will put butts in seats, man. I think that's the way they should go instead of trying to reboot this or pull this in. If you want to pull a character from one of the series into the movie too, you can do that too. Whatever you want. Just make a good movie that will get people to adore the Star Trek IP and also get some big name actors in there that really want to be there. So it would tickle me pink to see Tom Hanks in the Star Trek movie. So you never know. But yeah, those are mine. Anything you guys have left to add before we give the letter grade? For Star Trek, no worries. Star Trek to me has been doing very well, and it's definitely on the come up. I'm gonna give it a B plus, and definitely, if anything, it's been hitting strong, especially recently, with Picard being the last series to come up. Strange New Worlds is right around the corner with the Lower Decks crossover, and we got Lower Decks coming back in August too. So, if anything, the horizon looks good, and also a new season of Prodigy at the end of the year. So, looking forward to that too. Chris, what's your letter grade?
I will also give it a B plus.
Nice, good stuff. Neo, what's your letter grade, sir?
I'm gonna give it. I guess I'll give it a B plus too, because I think, it's been a little.
We hit it with the. Oh,
you're getting Cyloned, bro.
Oh, you get Cyloned. Must be walking the dog.
Yeah, I'm walking the dog. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. But B plus is all around. A triple double, man. Good shit. All right, so now
why don't you lead us into Star Wars Sobro while he's de-Cyloning?
You got it. Well, Star Wars is definitely up to bat next. This one is it's been a little squirrely to say the least. But I do have some positives. The first one is we're getting series of different tones. Mandalorian, which I've enjoyed, although season 3 was a little off its game, to say the least. Run back our review. We reviewed it just recently on the show. We got Andor, which is probably my favorite series on all of Disney Plus, period. And season 2 is being worked on now. So I'm glad to see that. And season 2 will dovetail right into Rogue One. So get ready for that.
One of my 3 points is specifically just Andor. That's it. Just one
just
word, Andor. That's it. I don't need to say any more. We already talked about it in Andor, so that's point number 1 for me is Andor.
Acolyte is the other series I'm looking forward to because that's supposed to be like a detective story, a little noirish as well. So I am excited for that. It takes place in the era that we've never seen in live action. So that is also interesting as well. So we're getting a series of different tones with different creators. So thank you for that. Future projects bouncing off of that. The future projects do look promising for Star Wars as well. I know that Ahsoka is right around the corner as well, so that hopefully will be good. I know Chris has got some concerns because of the showrunner, but we'll see what happens there. And last but not least, I like the fact that they're taking chances on non-canon projects like Visions. I like Visions a lot. It allows people to come in and play in the Star Wars universe and present it in ways that we've never seen. And Visions 1 and 2 have been fantastic watches. Not all of them hit, but a lot of them do. And I want to see some continuations of those stories. So it's a great place for people to just put concepts out there that we might see later on in some of the canon stuff, hopefully. But Chris,
Visions was also one of mine.
Oh, yeah, right on. See, there you go. I'll toss to you, Chris.
The only one left for me is the development of stagecraft, which I think has been a game-changing technology for use in TV and movies. Those are not familiar. You, instead of green screening and then filling in later, what you do is you have these large circular screens that are projecting in real time a background running in Unreal Engine 5, and they use that a lot on Mandalorian, and it helps create environments like Tatooine, and it looks really good when done properly.
Oh yeah.
But, sets are also nice too, which is good on Andor. So, it's a good tool that should not be a replacement for physical sets in wholesale. It should be something that's used when the situation warrants it. And you can definitely see that this is the technology that George Lucas wanted 20 years ago when he was doing the prequels, but could not do at the time, and instead gave us these lifeless CG sets that made those movies look worse and dated them worse than they should have for their time. Yeah. So
God, he must be so pissed, right? I mean,
he's like, oh, these fucking guys.
God.
Like, fucking guys, they cracked the code.
They did.
if only the DeLorean time machine was real, I could just take all this equipment back to 20 years ago and do the prequels,
and they'd love
right?
The prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me. So,
Neo,
for your positives,
hit us with it.
Well, I'd have to say, positive is going to be Andor. I think, I'm kind of in line with a lot of other your positives there. It's a mixed bag with this, and I not the biggest Star Wars person, but it's I think Andor took it in a different direction, and it took it in a direction that was much needed. That universe is too big that it's one of those situations where it's like sometimes it's better to see other stories. We don't have to have everything, even though there are connections with Andor to the overall story of Star Wars. But hey, it's what it is. So that to me is the biggest one. So
any other?
So I guess we can go to our negatives.
Oh yeah, go for it. You want to go for yours, or you want me to?
Well, yeah, big negative is going to be, I'm sure it's going to be the same thing we've talked about. Incoherent movie strategy. I guess now there's as announced, there's going to be a Rey movie, and it's like, okay, well, all right, whatever. I mean, the other part of it too is like, where are we going to go with some? We have the platform of Disney Plus. You have the platform of doing shows. It's a rich universe. Maybe explore a different avenue. I think that I still feel like everything's related to the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Until that changes, I just don't. I just don't see it. And the other problem is I feel too that Disney's allowing the fans to dictate what they're going to do. And I think that's the other big negative, is just the fans. And specifically the older fans of Star Wars, but a lot of them, because all they do is complain.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point of like, you're in a free country. If you don't want to watch it, and if you don't like it, nobody's forcing it. I get it. You were a little kid. You saw Empire Strikes Back in the movie theater, and it changed your life. Well, that was a long time ago.
You were a child.
And you were a child. And, So that to me, until they stop pandering to the fans, because I feel like of the franchises that we're talking about tonight, they're the ones that pander the most to the fans. I think everything's reactionary.
Episode 9 definitely proves your point.
I think The Mandalorian too.
Yeah, in a lot of degrees, you're right about that too.
Because Grogu was going to go.
The Mandalorian after season 1.
Yeah.
Because Grogu was going to go away, and it's like, well, what do we do? People are going to complain.
He's the mascot now, so he can't go away. He sells too much merchandise,
and it just feels like everything has got to be an Easter egg, or we got to use some type of facial technology to resurrect people, or show an actor that's much older now. So I don't know. I just don't. My whole negative of it is like, I almost feel like Star Wars just needs a pause. I think it really needs a pause. I think if there's any of these franchises that needs like a 2 or 3 year pause, it needs it. Honestly, you need it out in the national consciousness. I mean, it's never going to be that because it's just so big, but the fact that you have TV shows and movies,
right,
it kind of needs that.
Yeah, you might be on the
because it's Rey movie. I mean, they talk about this Rey movie now, and it's like, I get it. The girl's going to come back, and more power to her.
Yeah.
I don't blame her, but a paycheck's a paycheck. But what's the overall deal on this thing? Like, I thought that whole thing was resolved. You can debate if it was resolved correctly or not, but what's going on? Like, what are we doing? So,
any other ones you wanted to bring up before we?
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, we'll pass.
Let you guys talk.
We'll pass the hot potato to Chris. What are your negatives, sir?
I already had cited incoherent movie strategy, so nothing more needs to be said there. Another one, shrinking universe connections in the Mando era. I've mentioned this before that, seasons 2 and 3 of Mando really have shifted the focus away from being lone wolf and cub in space to let's build up all these connections and tease out all these other shows like Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka and yada yada. And, maybe Ahsoka will be fine. I am looking forward to seeing this show, aka Rebels 2. But I just wanted Mando to be its own thing in its own little corner, being a weird space samurai western thing, and they just will not let it just be its own thing the way that it was in season 1.
It's definitely
now they're building up to this Mando era movie that's gonna have everybody, and it's like that's not what I want. I just want individual stories. Not everything has to be connected. Not everybody has to know a Skywalker or come across a Skywalker. Like, just tell a good story of people doing that. It's a whole fucking galaxy. Like, you don't need to have everybody cross paths with Skywalker or Palpatine or whoever the fuck. Like, just tell a story that's in its own thing, in its own corner, and focus on making it a good story.
They're trying to turn Heir to the Empire into Endgame, and I think it might get crushed under the weight of its own premise. You don't know. Not everybody can pull off that. What Endgame was. It was a difficult thing to pull off. Just to hear the Russo brothers talk about how much work it took to do what they call the wedding, which is the big fight scene at the end of Endgame. And wrangling all those people together and whatnot. I hope it turns out well, where they're headed. But I agree with you. It was nice when Mandalorian was a space western / samurai series. And I hope season 4 has more of that when we get it.
Well,
it won't. I mean, they've already gone so far in this direction of we have to have all of. I mean, look at season 3, how basically it was the Bo-Katan show.
Yeah,
which is fine, but like, make the Bo-Katan show and have Mando still be his own thing. So that also leads into my last negative, which is too much focus on the original trilogy era, which, building up of what Neo said, is definitely Disney's fan pandering, because there was so much outcry against The Last Jedi, and Disney pandered to all of these toxic fans to the fandom menace, and that's how we got Episode 9, which was shit, and that's why they will not let go of the original trilogy era of doing all of these things that take place a bit before the original trilogy, like Kenobi, or stuff that takes place after, like in the Mando era. And I would like to see, like, give me the High Republic, give me the Old Republic, go very far into the future, like generations beyond A and the sequel era. Like, we don't need to just focus on this same span of like 60 years. Like, there's a whole literal galaxy that you could do across space and time, and the storytelling has been very hampered by being chained to the original trilogy.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Especially if you want to have Jedis, we'll just have the High Republic. Have their high point. This idea of like they're always being hunted, and all this other stuff, and it's just like, there just comes a point where it's just too much. And
it almost has the same vibe of like all these anime about like Japanese oppression.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, us poor Japanese people are being oppressed by somebody. How awful! It's got that same kind of vibe, and it's like, oh, I'm getting tired of this whole storyline. Like, we don't need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And get away with the. And the other thing is, people won't like this one because people loved it so much. But get away from the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Mandalorian because he was just a Mandalorian in a Western, like lone wolf cub type of thing. But if they were such great fighters, they would have been defeated. This idea that they're like this amazing thing, and it's just like, okay, if they were so great, why did they get beat up twice?
Star Wars has been very desperate to turn Mandalorians into their Klingons.
Yeah.
For the most part, if that's the feeling I get from that.
Yeah, they're just. It's like, okay, they look cool and stuff, but the way you've done their stories, they're not cool, and all they do is get defeated all the time. So there comes a point. It's like, why are they so fearsome? If they're so fearsome, then they would win a battle here and there. They never win.
Instead of constantly losing and falling out with each other. Yeah, it's a bit of annoying trait of theirs. But maybe they'll get the shit together. Who knows? But Chris, anything else you wanted to bring up?
For my negatives.
All right. Mine kick off with announced projects that are soon canceled. I'm looking at you, Rangers of the Republic and Rogue Squadron. Which leads into my subcategory of the constant firing of talent. Patty Jenkins was going to be the director of Rogue Squadron, but apparently she had a falling.
After Wonder Woman 1984. That's a good thing.
That
she screwed the pooch on that movie so horribly. That was such a terrible movie. Like, I want to see her
watch.
Maybe she's a great director. I haven't seen her filmography aside from the 2 Wonder Womans, but don't let her near any big AAA budget movies anymore, because that movie was an utter shit show.
I've seen those too. I've seen Monster as well. And go ahead.
Sometimes some of those directors, like, they might be good on the. It's kind of like the thing I was saying with the Eternals one. It's like, okay, they, the people that do well on the small screen, or the smaller budgets, doesn't always translate.
Yeah,
it's a whole different thing.
I mean, I liked her approach. She was basically inspired by her father, who was a fighter pilot, and she was going to kind of make a story that had kind of that realism of flying jets and whatnot. But it fell apart. I know that a lot of blame is put on Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not here to say whether it does or doesn't. But what really hurt me is when Lord and Miller were taken off of Solo. I think if she let them rock, because they've had nothing but a perfect fucking record with every movie they have done, including the movies they produce, like Across the Spider-Verse, which I haven't had the chance to see yet, but it's getting insane reviews. When I heard they got taken off the project, it's like that's gonna suck. And I love Ron Howard, but he had to take over a project that wasn't even his from the jump. So I'm not going to blame him for how that movie turned out. It wasn't terrible, but it didn't really spark any imagination in me like Rogue One did. And it was just sad to see. But just all these announced projects, whether they're TV shows or movies that never get off the ground, has put us in a drought of film for the last couple of years. And although we're getting this Rey movie coming up, which is apparently being written by Stephen Knight, who's known for Peaky Blinders, which is promising. He's a good writer, and I've seen episodes of that show, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that Rey movie turns out pretty good.
Believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You kind of have to stay cautiously optimistic or whatever. But if anything, we'll see how that turns out. But they need to get on this real quick. My last one though is that they need to recast legacy characters. If you're gonna bring back somebody, I know y'all are in love with this de-aging shit, and sometimes it looks good and sometimes it looks like ass. For some reason, when they use it with my man Michael Douglas, it looks great. But when they use it with Harrison Ford in Indy, you're rolling the dice. So I don't know. But they need to start recasting these legacy characters. I'm sick of them holding them up with... I mean, even Mark Hamill said it recently. It's like, yeah, I think they're going to go on with another actor. I'm getting up there in age. I don't think I'm ever going to do another Star Wars again, which is a shame, but it is what it is. They killed him off in the recent trilogy. So, that was his swan song. If we ever see him again, it'll be him as a Force ghost. So, I don't know.
Sebastian Stan is sitting right there just waiting.
Yes, man, for real.
Disney has his number. They know who he is.
Oh, my God, dude. And he's such a good actor,
Give
too.
that man a call.
He would murder it. If you're gonna do this damn Heir to the Empire movie, then get him to place Luke in that, man. Honestly, dude, it's starting to get real tedious. But those are my negatives for the most part, man. When it comes to giving it a grade, Star Wars probably has the lowest grade out of all of these. I just gave it a straight C. Right now, it's right there in the middle. It can go south or it can go north. Right now, the only real promising thing is Andor Season 2, which again, shout out to Hot Limit in the chat. He said he's done with the Star Wars franchise because of Episode 9. Hot Limit, if there's any reason to go back, is when Andor Season 2 is done, watch both seasons back to back. I think you'll be impressed. It's insanely good, and if you haven't seen any movies from Tony Gilroy before, check out some of his movies, man. They're fucking great, and Andor is definitely a standout. But other than that, a C is what I give Star Wars. Chris, what do you give it?
Same.
Let's see. And Neo?
D.
All right, man. We're all in consensus, man. Good shit.
No, I gave it a D.
Oh, a D?
We're not in consensus.
Big deuce?
No, I gave it a D, and it's been, not good. Below passing.
Ooh, look at this guy.
Yeah,
this renegade.
As good as Andor is, it's going to end. But just the haplessness and, just the reliance and the fact that they're just pandering to fans. Because you guys talk about the de-aging thing.
Yeah.
That's because of the fans.
Yeah, it is, really.
It's because of the fans.
And, because of the backlash for Solo, when they casted Aaron Ehrenreich as Solo, it was such a nightmare for him and everybody involved that they're so afraid to do it again, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
They're way too precious about it.
It's a D, like I said. They need to take a 2-3 year pause. Nothing. Just do your Andor, finish up Andor and whatever, but 2-year pause. Yeah. Because it's done.
Yeah.
Because they're relying on fans that are in their 50s and 60s now. And that's who they care about.
And they're dying off.
We're more worried about them.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yo, shout out to Yazi. He says Obi-Wan was horrible. It was a tough watch, buddy. It sure was. All right.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good.
It was rough, for real.
Yeah.
It was a movie that very clearly was stretched out with a bunch of filler to turn it into a TV show.
Yo, Chubb says Obi-Wan.
If there should have been a movie, if there should have been a Star Wars story, it should have been that.
Yo, shout out to Chubbs or Taco Touchdown. He says Obi-Wan? More like Obi-Why is this trash? Damn. Yeah. All right, let's get into it, man. Finally, the main event, man. Gundam, baby. We're here, y'all. Man, what puts bread on the table? Man, positives for me. They've been taking more chances, especially recently, man. Whether it be Iron-Blooded Orphans, how edgy that show was. didn't end the best way, but it was pretty good throughout. Witch from Mercury though has definitely spun some heads. Some people out there fucking shitting on it, but for the most part, it is adored, and you love to see it. And you know, taking on other types of mediums like live action TV series like Gundam Build Real. It was silly, but I applaud them for trying. They've had net animations throughout the years. There's a lot of politically charged content in their shows. Way back when with Double O. Double O was like taking things from the headlines and rolling with it. Iron Blooded Orphans touched upon some nerves too, man. It was fantastic. And Witch from Mercury also. We've been getting a steady release of projects that vary, which I think is a great thing. And they've been spaced out. There was a time where we were getting a glut of Gundam. I was trying to remember. I think we got Gundam Builders Try at the same time that we got G-Reco. I think we got them both back to back, and it's kind of a little bit too much.
Back to back, simultaneously.
Oh, simultaneously, that's right. So we got them simultaneously, and it's like, yo, this is a lot of Gundam to be consuming, because we were like reviewing both shows simultaneously too, and it was like, man, they kind of need to space these out. So I'm glad to see they do that now. They don't try to run everything together, because they've realized that too much Gundam may not be a good thing. So good on you, Sunrise, and everybody involved with that. I know you guys may disagree with this, but I like the fact that they're dabbling in the idea of a live action movie. I don't know where that project is right now, or if they're changing creatives on that, or where it is, but I'm still intrigued.
That's one of mine.
Oh, well, hey man, we're gonna get into that. But yeah, those are my 3 positives. Chris, I turned it to you.
I think that's a positive too. I agree with that too, because it's a point where Gundam's been around so long that it kind of needs it.
Yeah, and it'd be cool to see a Gundam project that has.
It's not even cool to see. I think it needs it.
Yeah,
I think the stories are there where it kind of needs it.
Yeah, I want to see creatives outside of Japan involved in the Gundam project, but I'll get into more of that later. Chris, go for it.
It's something that would help it grow internationally, and I would like to see other people play in this sandbox. I don't know what the story is with this director who has gone radio silent after some accusations of being a sex creep over in Hollywood. So, you know, yet another man running amok. And he's also supposed to be working on Metal Gear Solid, and haven't heard anything about that movie for a long time. So, you know, maybe this movie ends up changing hands, but I think it's a good thing. And if I could implore people, please, fuck's sakes, stop calling it the Netflix Gundam movie. It is not the Netflix Gundam movie. Netflix has literally nothing to do with the production. It's Legendary Pictures. Netflix is just the distributor.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, oh, Netflix is going to ruin it like Cowboy Bebop or Death Note or whatever, no, stop spreading this misinformation. It is not a Netflix movie. Just stop. Please.
Man.
That's the end of this PSA.
There you go. What are your other positives?
My other positives, you know, G-Witch has been great, and it really is opening up Gundam to a new audience. And, you know, there was an interview that came out around the time the show started with the producer at Sunrise that a lot of people were criticizing of, saying, oh, we're going in a different direction because teenagers don't care about a war series, and all these, you know, older Western fans are like, oh, it's stupid, you know, Gundam's about blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, G-Witch has gone its own way, and if you've seen 20, you see they've kind of reached the same area you expect a Gundam show to be, but just in a different way. And you know, the aerial kits are very hard to get. They're just flying off the shelves, and you have a whole new generation of people who are into Gundam that were not before, and the gatekeepers can fuck off because you are all irrelevant and nobody cares about your anger and toxicity, and you can die mad about it. And I think that having fresh blood is the only way to keep these franchises alive over time because, like Neo said, Star Wars is appealing to people in their 50s and 60s. They're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
You have diminishing returns, focusing all of your efforts on people who are going to start dying off.
Star Trek realized that, and they shifted.
Yes,
and
they
and,
did.
and all they want is what they've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all these people want is just. I mean, I hate to harp on this, but the first JJ Wars,
Star Trek.
it was basically a New Hope. People loved it because it was just the New Hope.
Oh,
just
yeah,
redone with new characters.
Yeah.
And if you want that, well, watch New Hope. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's a fair
So,
assessment.
I second that. Gundam has said, "Fuck everybody." Like we realize that we have, for once, the Japanese are like, "Look, we have to grow.
Yeah,
we have to look to the future instead of the past."
They realized that shit a long time ago too. We're talking
that's
like
what
the
they're
90s.
doing.
Yeah, man, they were on top of that shit. That G Gundam was born from that. But Chris, any other positives before we go to Neo?
Yes, this is one that has been alarming, but I'm finally happy to see that first time ever we finally have Western home video availability really equal to that of Japan.
Yes, man. Long time it took, but we got there finally.
In 1999, when I got on the Gundam train, it seemed like an impossible dream to ever have all of it be available in America in English officially.
Yeah.
And I had given up on that dream for many years until Right Stuff stepped up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And this summer we're getting, although it sucks, Twilight Axis, finally getting the original Gunpla builders, and as a very nice, unexpected bonus, Gundam-san.
Yeah, man.
And
wow.
with that, we finally have everything.
That's amazing.
Yes. There are some things that we're missing, which is just new stuff that we're waiting to catch up on, like Kukura's Dawn and Hathaway Movie 1.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of catalog releases of old things, with Twilight Axis and Gunpla builders, we finally have it all.
It's just a long time coming, man. I'm so glad to see it.
Oh, and Gundam Breaker Battle Log, but again, that's still a new current thing. Like, all of the old stuff will finally be in our hands.
Yeah. Hey, the most important.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, especially
I second it.
The full-on series.
I second Chris's take.
I third it. I third it as well.
Because if you think about it, when we started this podcast, we would never think what was going on. Just simultaneous releases was something we would love. Just getting a release within a week was something we dreamed of.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're getting not only simultaneous releases, you're getting, equal treatment on physical media and stuff like that. So
we went from watching the Raws of Seed and Destiny and waiting a week or two for the translation to the instantaneous release, man. We watched it grow in real time, man. It's an amazing thing, man. You'll love to see it. But Neo, man, where do you stand on the positives?
I think the bigger one is I agree with most of what you guys said. I think the fact that you have a female protagonist is something we've always talked about.
Oh yeah,
but never saw. So I think that's good. A true one.
A near impossibility almost.
Of course it makes everybody crazy, but that's a big one. So, but hold on one second. Let me be right back.
All right, cool. But yeah,
you guys talk.
Let me go to the chat real quick.
Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, female protagonist, I know it was one of the first things we talked about on this show, like back when it started. And it went from being a pipe dream to being finally realized. I mean, we get little hints at that. We get like really involved supporting characters that were female, but none that really drove the story like it does in Witch from Mercury. And I'm elated to see that that's happening. It's opened up the franchise to have people who relate to the leads of Witch from Mercury, and it's bringing in a whole new demographic, which is something that Gundam is really good at. And it used to be said that only boys What's that?
It's needed.
Yeah, it's definitely needed, man. Especially since a lot of the
half
Gunpla builders out there are
over half
women.
of the world's population is women.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And people say, "Oh, it's pandering, blah blah blah." It's like, motherfucker, you're just mad that it's not catered to you. And instead of wanting to share the wealth, you just want everything to focus on your taste and whatnot. Nah, man, fuck that. Share the wealth, man. Make sure that series come out. I look forward to being surprised by Gundam when a new series comes out, and lately it's been doing that. So that's what's up. But back to you, Neo. Oh, or not. Chris, anything to add?
No.
Well, shit.
Sorry.
Welcome back. All right, go for it.
Yeah, that's fine. I was in the middle of switching over.
Oh, no problem.
No, I think that they're the only ones that realizes that it's a different world from when Gundam came out, 40 something years ago than it is now.
Yes, it is.
I think all the outside of MCU, because it's just had such a short time, but with Star Trek and Star Wars, I think Star Trek's better at it now. I think Star Wars, they're still stuck in 1977 or 1983 or whenever the last of the original trilogy came out. So that's what's helped Gundam.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. What are your other positives?
I'm in the same long lines with what all you guys have said. Okay. I think it's just the storytelling's solid. I think that just the fact of trying to get away, trying to tell a different story, keeping it in the aspect of it's Gundam, but it's not. It doesn't have to be Mobile Suit. It doesn't have to be First Gundam. I think is smart. So,
or even UC. I know a lot of people love to see Return to UC.
Yeah, even UC.
And we're getting that with Hathaway. So that's we're still scratching that itch.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because UC is still the OG, and I don't have a problem with getting UC, but I like that you're getting different parts of UC.
Yeah.
Even as flawed as Unicorn was as the anime, it's not, it's not Char and Armro. It's not, it's Earth Noids versus Space Noids, but it's just not traditional, Federation versus Axis and stuff like that. So I think that's a positive. So,
man, well, if you want, man, you can drive us into the negative. Take us to the deep, dark depths of Hyrule, to the depths where evil lurks. Yes, take us to the negatives of your thoughts of Gundam.
With Gundam right now, I think the negatives is just that Sunrise, Bandai just don't realize that I think they just need to. They're getting there, but I think they need to treat everything outside of Japan on equal footing. Like, it's good that we're getting a lot of this other stuff, but it'd be cool to get some of these other, other mangas and things like that on, be part of that whole thing. Other negatives, I think until they can really get something on, they're on Netflix. Most of the Gundams are on Netflix, and some of them are still on Hulu too,
and YouTube.
And Crunchyroll.
And Crunchyroll. Yeah. So they're available, but I think maybe their marketing. I think they could market a little bit better, and that, I know it means money, but you got something unique here, and people want something different. And I think the old ways of oh, this is Japanese or Japanimation or something like that, that's all gone now. You have, my God, you have sports stars that are all about Naruto. Let's see if we can get people about this. I think they need more grassroots marketing, and be more proud of what they have.
Yeah. You have a wealth of material. So much.
And be proud of stuff like First Gundam. I think, I don't see it that way. I see more of the fans sometimes doing that, especially the newer fans. But,
be proud. Okay, it's from the 1970s. Okay, it's not going to look great at certain points, and it's going to, certain things just didn't pan out the way they are. But, be more proud of it. I think in some ways they could do that.
Yeah.
At least here outside of Japan. I know in Japan, the Gundam is God. So. Those are my negatives. I don't have a lot of negatives right now. I feel probably the most positive about Gundam of these 4 franchises, the way they're going.
Likewise.
Than the other ones at this point. I feel like they've figured it out.
Yeah. Out of all these, they've definitely got
It took them a while, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've watched it happen.
It took them a while.
We watched it happen throughout these decades, the last
throughout
2
this podcast.
Yeah, throughout this
podcast, we've seen their missteps and everything. So
we have talked about them at length.
Yes.
Well, we throw it to Chris. Chris, what are your negatives for the Gundam franchise?
Number one, I know some people will agree with me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Digital only game releases in North America.
Yeah, man, that's a problem.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They've been doing this ever since they released that crappy Gundam Versus game on the PS4 that nobody liked, and we have not gotten any physical games since then, whether it's Extreme Versus Maxi Boost On, or things like Code Fairy, or anything else, and it's annoying. Please go back to physical releases for Gundam stuff.
Okay.
Number 2. Y'all might have heard in previous Neos and news segments, or just seen people talking about it, that Bandai announced this like Gundam metaverse thing. This is fucking stupid. Nobody ever wanted any metaverses. Nobody wants a Gundam meta. Just stop. Like, this is dead on arrival. You got on this train because it's a freaking fad, and it's not going to do anything or go anywhere. It's dumb.
Man.
Yeah. Know your role. Yeah.
Number 3, too many things on P Bandai.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Just in general, there's a lot of cool stuff, whether it's kits or figures, that just gets shuffled off to P Bandai, and you're paying all this money for. And it's like, I know this is for stuff that doesn't have the widest appeal, but it just also feels like they're using as an excuse to sell stuff that probably would have a higher appeal, but they're able to sell it to you more expensively.
Oh wow! Is it project funded, or is it just like a select thing that they do for things that are like?
No, it's just limited availability that you have to order for directly from them, and it's not sold in stores.
I thought it was like Hasbro Pulse. Never mind. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
man. Well, any other negatives you wanted to add before I take over?
That's it for me.
All right, some of these we touched upon. One of them, though, as we mentioned earlier, you could find Gundam scattershot on Hulu, Netflix, Crunchyroll, YouTube. I really would like a central place where you can find everything. Bandai has enough clout to make that happen. I do know that some of the series are tied up in commitments on certain channels, but I think inevitably, if they can pull it off and put everything in the same place, and make it so that the whole archive is able to be watched, whether it be free on YouTube or behind a paywall on the streaming service like Crunchyroll or Netflix or whatever. Everything being centralized would be magnificent. That way people can find the entire catalog of Gundam in one place and delve into the shows they want to watch. Make it easy to find, because when people have to really dig or have to do a lot of legwork to get these shows to watch them, they're not going to watch them. They're not going to be too enthused, because it takes a bit to get into Gundam, and ease of access only can help it. So put them all in the same place. If I had to recommend the place to go really to watch Gundam, probably it's the YouTube channel, Gundam Info, because it's free and pretty quick to access. But they rotate shows in and out throughout the year, so you kind of stay on top of it. My next one, and this one's just annoying because of what's going on with Witch from Mercury. The delay of the release of recent episodes on the YouTube channel because it's on Crunchyroll. I'm sure I can subscribe to Crunchyroll and watch it there. That's fine. But I'm waiting to watch the whole thing as one straight shot once the season's over. as opposed to watching it week to week because I just hate this delay shit. So it's just a personal thing.
Yeah, but that's in their contract.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
it's the arrangement. I wish they would
I'm
change
sure.
it. Because
I'm sure Crunchyroll's got exclusive rights.
Yeah, we watched previous series without this problem, but Crunchyroll is basically they locked this up. So it's business. It makes sense. It's an inconvenience to say the least. My last one is another one we touched upon, which is I would like to see more collaboration with creators outside of Sunrise and Hajime Yatate and Japan. That's what makes Turn A Gundam stand out to me so much because of Sid Mead's involvement and really unconventional people involved in that series. To see, I want to say it was Kino Nishimura from Capcom who worked on that show as well. It was like, wow, I never expected to see one of my favorite artists be a part of this. And to see Sid Mead's unique designs being put to the Turn A was just a tip of the iceberg to what we could have. So I'm hoping they're open-minded for more collaborations with foreigners. We'll see. But those are mine.
That was like 25 years ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a very long time. So I just hope that maybe this will get down the pipe on their end, and maybe they'll consider it in the long term. Maybe they already are. We don't know what the next series will hold. But as for a franchise rating, this is a solid A. Gundam has been hitting, and I guess you could expect it on a show called Gundam. We're kind of biased towards Gundam, but honestly, they've been doing big things. The last 5 years,
my score is not based on bias. Yeah, they're just doing it better. I think
they are, and being honest, they are. I just know that what people would say is that, you guys are biased. It's like, no, they've been doing a solid job at bringing these series out, and they've been hitting quite well. That season finale for Mercury was like, what the fuck? But it had me on the hook basically for the next half. So I can't wait to watch. Once it's done, I will tear through that, and I can't wait to enjoy that. And they're taking chances, as I mentioned earlier, man, and I hope they continue to do so. Solid stuff. Chris, what's your overall rating?
A-.
A-, man. You and Yazi, man. Good shit. Any thoughts on that before we go on to Neil?
Nope.
All right, Neil, what's your rating?
A-, because I think as good as they've done it, I think they can still do better.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm hoping they will.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's basically it. I just think it's all come full circle. I think in some ways, in a weird way, of like what we've complained about, and the novel idea. We talked about the female protagonist for so long,
mm-hmm.
and then you finally get it. Of course, it's causing a stir because woke woke will make you go broke, but except
it's not making Bandai go broke. Ooh, they're making money, son.
Not in Bandai's, yeah, not in Japan.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, I think as good as they're doing, I'm just cautiously optimistic, and I just feel that they can do more and build, because here's the thing. The next thing afterwards for Mercury, if it's one of these, if it's Igloo 3,
mm-hmm.
Where are we at this point? Igloo 3 Uber Nazi fetish.
Oh my lord.
So it's like, because that's the problem. Xeon's always there.
Always.
It's always lurking behind the corner. So, yeah.
Man.
A-. Yeah.
Good segment, man. They ran long, and I know that we basically got the split. Guys, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Gundam. You guys are the best. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for all your feedback in the chat. The chat was going nuts, man. I'm sorry I didn't get to say a lot that was going on in the chat, but I appreciate you guys' feedback, and it's seen on the stream, so people who are watching will get to see that too. Make sure you check out the websites, twitch.tv/FightersReady, but also youtube.com/GundamMHQ, MHQ.net, of course. Make sure to visit there, hit the favorites button, and check back every day. Updates hitting you hard and fast, man. Don't sleep, man. New scans are going up. Chris, anything you wanted to bring up before we close this down?
No.
All right, shit. Neo, take us home, sir.
Just, go to our Mastodon thing, because the bird guy is probably going to go away pretty soon, because I just feel like that's just, if I was the rate that, I'd give it like a G. I know that's not even on the scale, but so that might be the only way you'll get notifications of what we're doing on the shows. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us for episode 276, where we did our franchise report of the 4 power franchises in our world: Star Wars, Star Trek, Gundam, and the MCU. So I'm sure we'll do this in a decade later from now, and it'll all be wrong. So we'll probably be like, yeah, Star Wars is the shit, and everything else sucks. So we'll see what happens. But thank you, and we'll be back in a few weeks with episode 277. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Do you think Earth has the greatest culture? Bullshit. Stop thinking you know anything about culture. You don't even know the meaning.
Who are you?